Welcome to Driven to Lead. I'm your host, Wayne Brandon. In this series, we explore the real world stories of key executives to find the leadership lessons that help move us all forward. If you like these conversations, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe and like button. It'll help us out a lot. But now we got another great program for you today, so let's make it happen. Yeah, I got a great program for you today. We have with us Jeremy Barker, CEO of Murphy Door. Jeremy is just an interesting individual that I know you're going to love. He's a former firefighter, a serial entrepreneur. He's built Murphy Door to be the #1 hidden door brand in America. Business growing at 117% growth rate now. He's got over 1 billion views on social media. It's been featured in Forbes magazine, Business Insider, Entrepreneur, House Beautiful, and many others. He's also the author of Founder Fallout, is a blunt guide to building smarter partnerships. And he's a creator of Pure Brand. I don't know if any of you have heard about that, but it's a platform that transforms verified customers into live brand advocates. So really, really broad in his perspective and his understanding of the markets and the media. And he also has a podcast. So check that out. It's 90 Proof Wisdom. And Jeremy shares some unfiltered insights on leadership and startups and scaling. So he may talk about on that program many of the things we talk about here on Driven to Lead. So with that said, Jeremy, welcome to the program.
Wayne, thank you so much for having me today. It's great to see you.
Yeah,
what a way to start your Monday.
It really is. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just, I love doing this podcast. I love talking to key executives, regardless of their industry. But boy, when they're in a fun space like this one that most of us don't think about, but we think about how that could be, how it could be incorporated into our lives, into our own homes and our businesses. It's just kind of fun. Tell us about Murphy Door, the products you have, what your vision for customers, really will be going forward, all of that.
Absolutely. So Murphy Doors, honestly, I freaking love my job. It almost doesn't feel like work every day. And I know you hear a lot of entrepreneurs say that, but I truly, sincerely feel like I live in Disneyland a little bit because my customers are my input for my next innovation. And you hear that there's a whole bunch of low-hanging fruit out there that they drop. And if you're willing to hear and see those little pieces of nuggets that you can grab a hold of and capitalize on, there's no shortage of what the world needs today. You just need to be able to hear it. So this need, based off of me being a firefighter, no money, I'm sure that people have heard this story before, but I was trying to build a theater room downstairs in my basement. And I had, when I say theater room, I'm talking firefighter level theater room. So it's like 4 fold-out chair size theater room. And I live in a neighborhood right by Park City that has all the money. So my theater room was very sub of what the rest of the neighbors were. So I needed something cool for my daughters. And I thought, well, I can't deliver an amazing theater room with all the crazy stuff, surround sound and tiered seating, but I can try to create some kind of fun passageway into the theater. So my head was wrapped around like the old ticket booths where you'd go to the movie theater and there was kind of that hexagon style booth. You buy your tickets and go through it. And I thought, what could you do to gamify it in a little bit to make the experience kind of be fun for the kids? And I thought of the fortune teller booth where the lady would sit in there and give the ticket and then to tell you your fortune, integrating that thought process as well as the old ticket check stand in the old theater styles. I'm like, look, what if we made that ticket booth? The kids could reach through a little handhold, give their friend a ticket to the movie, and then the door opens and then they could go sit in one of the 4 fold-out chairs kind of things. So, at least the experience of going to the theater was cool. Let's not necessarily sitting in the chairs to watch the movie, but, we'll get there. So anyway.
I'm sure their friends were very impressed by it.
It sounds
like a great thing.
It was awesome for at least that stage of our lives. And it kind of generated this weird thought in my head as I was searching for doors. Hidden doors have been around since the Egyptians or longer, right? I mean, people have done that for all time and eternity, but no one had really built a major product category around it. And my first business, I'd build a metal frame for all the shed doors. So I was building a wooden shed company that was the largest around the United States. We supplied all the Home Depots at the age of 20. And I made a ton of money, but I'd kind of gotten really good at this door thought process. And I thought I could do something awesome with this type of door. And needless to say, I loved my fire and paramedic career that I had. And I was looking for just something to side tell it, make me a little extra money so I didn't have to be broke every 2 weeks. So I never had the intentions of quitting fire. That was my baby. But needless to say, what I found and what I love about this business is, one, If a firefighter's looking for a way to have a multi-purpose piece of furniture that worked like a door, created experiences and excitement into
Sure.
something, then it's probably not just me that needs that. I'm guessing that people that are poor all the way to rich, because I was super poor, and I'm sure the rich people want that same feeling too, right? So what I've realized in the build out of building, we started with that little door. I created hinges first, sold hinges, never really was a cabinet maker. And then that became, there was door demand. Like, I don't want to build a door, but can you sell me one? So I had to figure out that. I realized that
Mhm.
what we were creating was not just a hidden door, but usable storage space. That was next step. And then what I was also realizing is what people were sharing on the social media aspect was the experience and the feeling they wanted to share. One, how did they want to feel when they're passing through this passageway into this experience, like a theater room or a speakeasy or a humidor or whatever you're trying to get? And then how
Mhm.
do you want,
Mhm.
number one, how do you want to feel when you share it? And how do you want them to feel as they pass through? Because that is kind of the grand entrance, right? Like what's
Right.
coming on
Yeah.
the other side. So you could build these experiences in it. And I think that's what's really made this job exciting because, we're building a door every 6 minutes right now. And the passageway help people create the hidden room, the speakeasy, wine room,
Right.
whatever it is. And I'm like, man, everybody's mind's so different. And the cool thing about Murphy Door is we're like 30 million SKUs. Every single door we build is
Yeah.
truly unique to you. Like you decide the
Yeah.
width, height, depth, wood type, color, what you're wanting to do, and how you want to feel like. And we can do it. You
Right.
can't show that all online because that'd be an endless website, right? Every single
Right.
person would have their own page. Anyhow,
Right.
and that's why I find it fun is the individualism that comes inside the thought process, and they're all so unique. And I just love my job.
So that's tremendous. But do you personally get involved in some of the design stuff? Because I'm sure running the business has grown. You've got lots of other fish in the pan. But do you? It sounds like you're so passionate about it yourself. Do you still take some time to go down and get involved in a particular project, maybe
Yes,
with the celebrities you serve or something?
which is crazy because it's everybody that's a celebrity is pretty much Murphy Door. I ended up at the UFC fight, and I don't want to say
Yeah.
all the names, but everybody knew
Right.
who we were. They're like, dude, you're the Murphy Door guy. I'm like, how can this guy know who I am? Like, holy crap! I didn't have no idea that that family knows who we are. So I
Yeah.
do, yes. So just depending on if they share, some of them just buy online. Some of them will work through our customer service or concierge team, and others will reach out to me directly and say, hey, I want this really unique experience, and we'll work directly with them. So, but we currently probably have 24 celebrities in the hopper as we speak right now, and top line, top name musicians to
Sure.
artists.
Super
So
cool.
kind of
Good for
fun.
you.
But I'll step in a few of those. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you see as kind of the next thing in your space? I mean, you're innovating all the time. Everything's a unique design. You
Yeah.
get new ideas all the time because I'm sure you run into unique issues, unique problems to solve for your customers. What's the next thing in this space? I mean, I mean, Murphy beds are, synonymous with, hidden
Murphy
beds,
brand.
right?
Yep.
Murphy anything is a hidden whatever, but I mean, Murphy Door now is just kind of expanding this to like whatever.
Furniture, nightstands,
Yeah,
dressers,
yeah.
TV stands. Like truly what our goal as a company by 2030,
Mhm.
this is a
Mhm.
lofty goal is you come from manufacturing, you know how hard this is, especially when every SKU is different. But I'd like our
Mhm.
customers to have what they want, where they want, when they want in our space. Meaning if they're doing kitchen cabinets, how can we make that kitchen cabinet do more? And then if you're doing a nightstand and you get a 10 by 10 bedroom and you want a queen bed, but you can't ever go to the furniture store and say, I like that bed, I like that nightstand at Armoire, but it doesn't fit. So now I want to be able to take that thought process, configure every single piece that they want to the size that they need with the wood type handle and color that they want and make it
Yeah,
fit
yeah.
exactly their space and get it to them within 3 days so that they'd order it
Wow.
online and be shipped locally. So our goal is to have 20
Mhm.
locations that are factories around the country and that it leaves our factory, not to them, but leaves our factory within 3 days. And you know how
Yeah,
hard that is
amazing.
when you're doing one-off.
Oh,
So
incredible. Yeah, incredible.
we're doing good at that with our two locations and our current volume.
Yeah,
We're not at the 3 day goal. We're at around a 2 to 3 week goal right now. That's compressing. As you know, throughput's
Mhm.
tough, and then managing orders
Yeah,
and transfers is tough. But
right.
I believe that people will get further down the pathway, especially with this Amazon experience and having these. You build your own Nikes right now. You build your own everything
Yeah,
right now. With our
yeah.
luck of having domestic manufacturing and domestic supply, we manufacture our hardware, our doors, our bed hardware, everything right here in the U.S. So where we're
Yeah.
so close to our consumer base, we can limit the inventory need. We can also limit the time that it takes to get to our client, and then fully expand the customizable aspect of the product. So that is really what I think we'll be able to do. And I believe the home where things are getting so expensive, houses can't be built as big. We're making them smaller but more functional. And so
Yeah.
our idea is to
Sure.
not just be Murphy Door, but Murphy Lifestyle or Murphy Living, where this
Hmm.
armoire does this and this and this. So you
Hmm.
can
Yeah.
not take as much
Tremendous.
space. So that's it.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. Yeah. So what are the challenges in the space in the industry? Any things that are on the horizon that you're concerned about?
Yeah, there's a few, but I can tell you this: AI is amazing, and I love AI for what it can do with a filter and a little bit of grain of salt. Right? There's some issues with it.
Right.
However, I come from a background of fire EMS and construction, so I am not an ecom web expert, but I've had to be. I mean, we get millions and millions and millions of views to our website every year. And what's awesome about AI is it teaches you a lot about what you're doing and what you could do better, but it also teaches
Hmm.
your competitors and foreign agents on what they can do to take you down. And what I've learned over the last few months of 2025, I guess, we were on this massive incline, and all of a sudden traffic just died. I'm like, what happened? Well, we're learning about this black hat SEO and backlink theft and all the stuff that can happen where they can crawl your sites and learn about your advertising and the way you're doing it and what's gaining traffic, and then they can compete with you with that space. So, for example, prior around September 20th, we were 92% of the world's search for hidden doors worldwide.
Hmm.
92%. If you're looking for hidden doors, 92% of the traffic came to us. Then all of a sudden, it didn't just step down, it cliffed off. We fell all the way to 51% of the authority. And we hired a forensic specialist to come in and see what was going on. And they're like, look, dude, these companies have taken your backlinks, taken your long tail search, your long term, long tail backlinks. Again, I'm not Mr. Pro words on
Yeah.
you guys as nerds that know IT.
All
God
good.
bless you, because I'm not that good
Yeah.
at it. Needless to
Yeah.
say, they were able to take our authority, get that traffic, and have Google authorize them as the general. And it's been really
Hmm.
interesting. We're clawing it all back. It's coming back quickly. The other thing is that people believe Murphy Door is generic. Murphy Door is our registered word mark. So we own the word mark. And it's hard when you all of a sudden have to start defending, our brand.
Hmm.
I've never
Right.
had to sue anyone. And currently we've got 7 lawsuits that we're having to sue to protect our own registered trademark. And they go back and forth saying that's been around forever. I'm like, no, actually it hasn't. This is our
No.
word mark. It's ours and issued. So that's a challenge. It's something you don't think of as a little firefighter, that you're going to have to defend your own name and your own thing that
Hmm.
you've created.
Hmm.
I've always wanted to be the Kleenex of hidden doors. But then there's something
Hmm.
bad about being the Kleenex. Think Velcro, right? It used to be called hook and loop,
Yeah.
right? Now it's
Yeah.
now it's just nothing. It's just Velcro. So genericide is what they call it. And I don't want to be genericided, but I do want everybody to refer to a bookcase door or a hidden door as a Murphy door. So you kind of have to pick your
Hmm.
evil. Um,
You're right. It's a balance.
it's
It's
a
a balance for
balance.
sure.
Fortunately, unlike other manufacturers, Wayne, we haven't had to deal with supply chain issues. Everything we do is here, really domestic, real local, and really kind of close niche with the people we work with and have since we started. So I've been fortunate where we started manufacturing in the US long ago. The tariffs haven't been an issue, throughput hasn't been an issue. We don't have delays at the port. We don't have any of that crap, implementation, or impacts. Haven't had any of it. Like we've been really
Is
fortunate.
afford Yeah, has affordability been an issue? Because even though you're keeping your costs down by sourcing locally and avoiding some of these other costs, has affordability just in general been an issue for your clients and for your supply
Yeah.
side?
Yep, our
Yeah.
our average ticket price is high. So here's something funny, Wayne. I respect you a lot. You've been in this freaking business for so long, and you get what the outside's yelling at you, but then they don't want to say what they say you should do. So, for example,
Hmm.
all our guys, they get paid really, really well. 100% health, 100% dental, 100% vision, 100% tuition reimbursement, 5 weeks vacation and sick leave, 4% match on 401k.
Love
Everybody's
that.
chirping on all the things you should do to your employees, and they, of
Right.
course, want you to be green. Well, we're building right next to you dude, and that you can't get better
Mhm.
logistics than that.
Right.
And so
Right.
at the end of the day, though, they go to Home Depot and they say, "Hey, there's a Murphy door, and it's $1,600, and then there's a Guingzhou door for $800, and they're all fine
Yeah.
with only spending $800, and they're yelling about you being overpriced, but here we are paying a livable wage with all the benefits you've chirped about, all the vacation, sick
Right.
leave, and stuff."
Right.
It's like, which one?
Right.
You either support us in what you're asking us to do, but then at the
Yeah.
same time, when it's time to hit leather, they get frustrated. So anyhow,
Sure.
that becomes the issue when you want to take really good care of your people and you want to be
Hmm.
competitive. Those don't necessarily align, and we're trying our best by automating a good amount of the components, not letting people go, but supplementing their output with robotics, and it that gets frowned upon too. So I mean, you can't win, right? They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're going to get everybody
Right.
out of work." I'm like, "Well, we got to do a hybrid, right?"
So it sounds like you're doing a very, very good job of taking care of your people. And it sounds like you're growing sufficiently that you've got the balance right, Jeremy. So I think, there will always be that clientele that will want to take the least expensive road, maybe because they have to, right?
Yep.
But there are always going to be people who appreciate the quality. They appreciate the built in America. They appreciate the fact that it's going to be custom tailored to them, and they're going to get extra innovation and engagement in the design process, and and they're gonna love that product regardless of what it costs. And it seems to me there's a lot of those people out there because you're doing pretty well with it. So congrats for you.
Well,
It's
thank you.
really, it sounds like a great business. So let's move to the kind of the heart of the program here a little bit. I think we've already had some really good discussions, but I try to find the leadership lessons and the key stories of key executives like yourself. So tell us a story today, if you would. Set it up. Let us know the background. Could be from your current business or something in the past. Tell us about something that you think would be an interesting way for us to look at some of the leadership lessons that really help you drive your business in the right direction.
Well, I have two, if you have time for two. I won't
Yeah,
tell you
yeah, let's
one.
go. Let's go.
So my first business, I was fortunate enough to drive to over $20 million in annual sales when I was in my 20s, early 20s, like 21 years old. And I
Hmm.
drove that into bankruptcy because I just didn't know how to be disciplined. I was really, irresponsible with cash flow. I didn't understand accounts payable. I just knew how to party kind of thing. So that was just
Hmm.
a really bad way. I mean, you get out of high school, you don't understand it, right? So I was able to explode a business. I understand marketing. I know how to drive. I landed Home Depot at 19 years old, right? Supplying
Wow.
them the wooden storage sheds. And I got that part, but I didn't understand management. So I thought I was really good at what I did. I burned a lot of bridges from what would be mentors, like not asking the right questions, not showing enough
Yeah,
respect to my seniors,
yeah, yeah.
whether they're senior in education or senior in experience. I would choose experience 100% over the time over education. Disrespecting others when I could have been able to have at least, swallowed my pride enough to go ask you. But since I was such a
Mhm.
dick to you last time I visited with you, I was too embarrassed to go ask. So, one, I wish I would have listened more. Two, I wish I would have really valued my mentorship. Those are way more important than I thought. In my early years, I thought, we're 20, we know everything. I wish I
Yeah,
had the same tattoo that I'm going to get that says, I don't know, but I'll ask and I'll find out. Like, I wish I
yeah,
had that early on.
yeah,
How Post
yeah,
Malone has always tired. Mine's like, I don't know, but I'm going to learn. So, like, I'm going to learn it and I'm going to ask great people. Um,
yeah.
so one is that. Two is
Hmm.
when I went into fire, they have SOPs, SOGs, and they have all these guidelines of management team, chain of command, span of control, and all these little things that I didn't understand. So as weird as this is, working in the fire industry and having two previously bankrupted companies, one in my early 20s, one in my 30s, I learned that these guidelines, the basic guidelines that give clarity and understanding, and then your mission statements and having everybody have this culture and understanding
Hmm.
of the why in what we're doing and what our objectives are, and then having this family orientation, like the brotherhood of the fire department, was extremely important to me. I mean, the bigger we
Right.
are, we're 100 and a quarter, I think, 125-ish people that work here. It's harder because there's separate locations, but they
Yeah,
all when we come to our Christmas party and everybody flies in together, it's still kind of a family vibe. They see that we're all kind of marching for the
yeah,
same
yeah.
objective. The idea of learning structure and those simple things, whether you get it from a fire department or police or military or from a good employer, and you're listening on how they're achieving their objectives, where people can at least understand the core principles, is extremely important. You can have an explosive business, but it explodes just as fast if you don't have the right rails in place. And, as
Mhm.
employees, we feel like rails are punitive. And unfortunately, they can feel that way if you want to be frictional to those rails, right? If we're frictional to rails, it feels punitive. But if we look at it as an opportunity to learn and the why behind the rails, I think it's critically important to number one, the job that you're doing. Number two, if you ever have the desire to start your own business, learn why the rails are there and what kind of benefits they deliver to you as the employee and to the organization in its whole. And the other thing I wish is I would have learned how not to care what other people think about me early. You know how it is. We get to 50 and we could give two craps about what people think about us. They're either not where we're at or they're going to die. And what's the worst case? We die. And either way, we won't care, right? That
Yeah.
we don't care about them and we don't, I mean, it's not that we don't care about them as humans, but their objectives may be different. And so at the end of the day, as long as I'm doing what I can to make myself proud first, which will then deliver an ability to make my family proud second, and then my friends will follow. If they don't appreciate or respect that, that's okay. So here's a simple example on where that learned. So I'm going to give you one recent. So Damon John was walking through the trade show down at the Builder Show last year in February, exactly a year. My employees were like,
Hmm.
dude, it's Damon John from Shark Tank. I go, Neffy, go say hi, right? And it's pretty unnerving. He was looking at his phone, walking right past the booth. And so he's like, no, dude, I don't dare. I'm like, I'm rolling. So I ran up. I said, or I said, Damon, what's going on? I thought you were like the guy that found great ideas and you're sitting there with your head in your phone and you've walked by the best booth in this whole freaking show. Are you serious? His handler was like, Maury, his manager, amazing man's like, dude, he's really busy. He's going to a gig. I'm like, I get it, but this will be worth X times whatever this gig is. So you better hang a quick
Yeah.
left. And Damon's like,
Right.
okay, I get it. He walked through, did a live social post. Next thing you know, we built a $360,000 art studio for him. We become
Yeah.
great friends. He's inviting me to
Yeah.
every single little event that I can want to go
Yeah.
to. And we have landed deal after deal after deal with his associations. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
last weekend I was at the UFC fight. I ended up going to
Hmm.
another. I mean, I'm like, how in the world am I on the floor of this place? And it's just
Yeah.
because sometimes you take that fear and that concern that you have that you're not good enough or great enough or you don't have a story to tell
Hmm.
and you put it to the wayside and you just say, hey, look, if I don't do this, somebody else will. It might as well be me. So quit caring what
Yeah.
he's going to think about what I say and just roll. I mean, knows are just that they just don't know enough yet. And so we just got to
Right.
keep teaching them what we're trying to do and be dynamic in your personality and just be yourself. Another thing, my wife, she hates that I do these podcasts because she just gets nervous or whatever, and I'm like, honey, I get that that's the deal. You think I'm getting out there, and then she doesn't like that I'm around all the celebrities and all the people that I'm with all the time. And I said,
Yeah.
look, she goes, what do you ever watch your podcast? Oh, I did the Adam Carolla show and Dr. Drew last
Uh-huh.
Monday in LA.
Right.
And she goes,
Right.
hey, look, you're on YouTube. You're right there. Do you want to watch it? I said, nope, I don't want to watch it. She goes, you
Yeah.
don't want to watch it? I go, no, I don't watch it. She goes, well, what about the comments? I'm like, I don't read them. And she goes, why would you
Yeah.
not watch the podcast or read the comments? I said, look, as soon as I watch the podcast, then I'm going to question what I'm saying and how I look and how I sound. Two, if I read
Yeah.
the comments, then I might change the way I feel about what I'm doing. So I don't need
Right.
either one of those in my life. I'm just going to keep being as authentic as I can. I never re-listen to my stuff I say. I never read comments. My team does, and they respond politely. But at the same time,
Sure.
I'm like, don't download me any bad news because I don't want to change who I am or how I feel. So I know
Right.
that's an odd thing to do, but I'm like, look, I just want to be
It's
honest.
not. It's not an odd thing. I think it's actually an indication that you're comfortable in your own skin, that you know you're authentic. I like to believe that when you're a good leader, you sincerely care about others. But as you said, you don't have to care about what they think because you're defining who you are and you're doing it with integrity. You're doing it that you know you have the best intentions. If your intentions aren't pure, you fix it on your own. You don't need other people to tell you to do that. And so I love the kind of leadership signal that you send with that kind of approach to the market and to your business. And your people see that, right? So I expect that you're creating a culture of being confident and being bold and being genuine, authentic, as you said. And I think that's serving your company incredibly well. It's what it sounds
It,
like to me.
we have very low attrition in our, especially in our admin level. If the employees in the
Hmm.
labor level start at 90, if they can get through the 90 days, they stick. The one
Hmm.
thing I try hard because they do get a big mic. I mean, it's crazy how much attention Murphy Door gets from some other things. I'm like, look,
Right.
don't drink too much of our own Kool-Aid or your own Kool-Aid. Be kind, be
Yeah.
genuine, but don't get drunk on yourself. Like you want the
Yeah.
input, you want to be authentic and sincere, and we want to deliver your dreams. Like ultimately, we're trying to deliver value to bring your personal personality out with our work. So if you drink too much of
Hmm.
your own Kool-Aid, then they think they're buying you, and then you're not always buyable, but they're always buyable. So they're going to spend as much as they can for them. So just remember
Hmm.
that. And it's a hard thing to walk when all of a sudden you see a video you post
Hmm.
gets 50 million, 70 million views. It's hard to not just
Right.
drink your own Kool-Aid all day, but you know,
Right. Well, I really like the first story you told about just, learning to listen, really listening to mentors and driving it that way. And I think, if we went back and we looked at our younger self, and we thought about what we could do better, it would be to pay attention, but in losing that business, that first business of yours, you really took so much away from that. You probably wouldn't do it differently if you had to do it over again because of all the things you learned, right?
there's two things it did for me. One is number one, it taught me some humility. That was
Hmm.
super important. It might have done three things. Two,
Yeah.
it made me drink a little bit of all my failures and accept it, respect
Hmm.
it, and mark down
Hmm.
everything that I learned. Because if we don't learn from them and take inventory of the lessons that we learned, then it was a wasted punishment of living in my car for a year, right? And then the other
Exactly.
thing was realizing that how much strength it built in me once I got through the trough of the valley, right? Once I got
Hmm.
through the bottom and I'm like, dude, I can shoot right now. I can shoot at any target because what's the worst
Hmm.
case scenario? I'm going to still lay in this freaking mud. There's nothing
Yeah.
else worse that can happen to me. I mean, either way, you might as well just keep freaking reaching and fighting because what's worse? Right? People are
Yeah.
so into the I wish. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
just shoot. So you miss.
Yeah.
Shoot 100 times. Who cares? You missed. But what if you
Right.
hit? Just what if you hit? You might take a
Yeah.
step forward and learn, and then you'll learn how to shoot better, and you'll get better and better and better. And the next thing you know, you look back at 22 years old when you're living in your car, going through your worst part of what you thought was the worst part of your life, and realize that you would do that in a minute. And the other thing that it did is I believe it creates a weapon out of you. Here's the thing that living in my car does not scare me. So then it
Mhm.
increases my risk tolerance, saying that, look,
Sure.
what's worst case scenario? I have to live in my car. Well, guess what? I had heat, air conditioning, power
Yeah.
windows. My roof didn't
Yeah.
leak. I was
Yeah.
fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like ultimately,
Yeah.
I was on a mobile. People spend a ton of money at retirement to do it in a Prevost. So mine was a Dodge Ram. So what? I still got to see the country, haul RVs around for manufacturers, and still live in my
Yeah.
car. It was totally fine. But when you're at the level that you're not afraid of the valley, it's a
Hmm.
whole different mindset if you can appreciate and respect what it did for you, that valley is not scary. It
Yeah.
actually has some good grass and it's some easy eating. Promise.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a
It's
little bit
it's
thinner at the top.
Yeah, it's empowering. I see that. But I think the other thing that was empowering about it is the attitude that you took from it. And then, you mentioned in the being in the fire industry, I think I mean, we all have such great respect for those of you who've done that kind of work. And, it's so grateful for the service because it's dangerous work and it's meaningful and it's needed. But, you talked about kind of learning the structure of leadership as well, the chain of command and the hierarchical reasons that things need to be there the way they do. So you have process, you have structure. And, if you take that level of confidence and lack of fear and empowerment that you took from your first business, and that gave you, increased your risk tolerance, as you said, and then you go into it with more structure where you're still listening now and you're mentoring and you've created, it seems like, a culture. I can hear it in your voice, the culture of taking care of these people who work for you, really valuing them and loving what you do. You take care. So if you love your customers and you love your employees and you love your product and your service and you act in integrity, that creates a culture that you kind of living in right now that's just contagious. It's exciting. I really feel that these stories are inspirational to the listeners of this program to say, how can I kind of step out to the next level like Jeremy has and build something that really makes sense because it all comes together in a way that just shows that you care about others and you just want to be your best and you don't care what other people think. You're just driving it forward. That must make you very proud that you're in that space. I know you're not someone to kind of want to bloviate about it or get a lot of attention, but my goodness, that's really something special.
I love it. I can't explain it or put it into words as eloquent as you just did, but I can tell you this. Some of the things when people get negative feedback on them personally, say a customer service rep or one of our concierges get somebody that's angry. We do have angry people. Sometimes freight companies break a door. Sometimes we ship the wrong size door. It happens, right? We try to be good. I promise you, we'll treat you right and we'll fix it. But I
Mm-hmm.
tell and then they get frustrated because we take pictures of the products when it ships, and they'll say, "Hey, they didn't get their automation or they didn't get the remote." And they're like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's in the box. I see it. I'm like, look, here's the deal, Wayne. We're not the moral police. If they want to do
Right.
whatever they are to take advantage of us, that's okay. Just send them whatever it is they ask for, and we just turn the page. Like, don't lose sleep over people that have a gap in moral whatever. It's not our
Right.
job. Our job is to make them happy. And part of the other side is that's why I created the purebrand.io software, which then empowers my past customers to speak openly to my future customers. I call it like a
Yeah.
360 review. I mean, they're not being
Hmm.
sold by my customers, they're being educated. We pay them $50 to have the conversation. We never tell them what to say. So it's like,
Hmm.
how junky is Murphy Door? Are they the worst company ever? And this is all the things they need to do better because they suck. Great. Well, now we can take that information. We have a recording and we can take it and learn and put it into place. But I feel like
Hmm.
a company that is so transparent that they empower every customer that would like to be part of this review platform to speak to our future customers, literally saying, "Hey, Wayne, I know your experience with us sucked and you wanted to dispute it all the way to the bank and you hate us to death, but we're wondering if you'd be willing to tell customers about your past experience and we'll pay you $50 to do that." Like, we do that to every single client that comes on board. So the
Yeah.
principle is like, look, we know that if we have negative reviews, the
Hmm.
only way to fix it is to get it. And if we're able to get that
Hmm.
information, transcribe it into an action plan, and then send emails to every department that had an issue, that we can make it better. So at some point we can get to a 99+% of satisfaction, right? Our
Yeah.
goal is to
Right.
get there. But if we don't know what's wrong and we can't hear it in your voice other than a one-sided rant that's a one-star Yelp review, which is the worst
Yeah.
platform on the planet because they want you to pay them to get your
Yeah.
five-star reviews out there. It's
Exactly.
junk.
Exactly.
I call Yelp like that's what happens to a dog when they get kicked, right? So that's where you go to complain, I guess. So anyway, I'm like, look, this is the best way to share, and I'm like, as a company, I want my customers to feel that empowered. I want them to
Right.
know that they want to squish us and hurt us. They really can, and I'm going to pay them to do it because it's the value that I get out of their words will make me so much better.
Yeah, you know
So,
what would be interesting as well. I don't know if you do it, but if you gave them another $50 once you resolve their problem and they're 99.9 satisfied, and then you gave them another video and then play those videos on your website side by
ooh,
side.
that would be brilliant. I'm
Yeah.
gonna take that. That is brilliant. I
I,
love
I,
that.
it would be impactful for me because I think you see these negative reviews and a lot of the negative, even just the regular written reviews. I know a lot of those negative reviews were turned around because a lot of companies will turn those around,
Yep,
but
we
they don't
always do.
necessarily.
Yep,
And they might get a 1 star or a 5 star after the 1 star, but the 5 star maybe isn't correlated with the same customer in the same way. What if you
yep,
put them together? Yeah, that would be exciting. So,
yep.
listen, I think that's great. I really do believe that this conversation is going to pay a lot of dividends for folks who are listening. So, thanks for sharing all that. I always ask two questions as we wrap the conversation, Jeremy. So rather than asking a question about what you tell your younger self, because you've already brought that up, what you tell your younger self, I'll ask you a different question. What else would you like to share with people who are interested in leadership? What would you like to share with them that they could learn that you think would help them in their journey?
Well, they're in the fire world. I'm going to go back to that. They always say, "Are what kind of leader are you? Are you leading in front? Are you leading in the middle? Are you leading behind, or from the back?" And it's kind of they always wanted you to choose one. And I don't honestly feel like it should be one. I think they're all dynamic, and sometimes you have to have different positions. But ultimately, I think one of the best things is leaders eat last. Like, how am I
Mhm.
supposed to be able to sleep at night in a field of fire if I don't have
Mhm.
a team that supports me to protect me, to let me know that I'm in danger, right? So
Mhm.
whatever I do every day needs to be at least sincere enough that they worry about me, just as if I'd say, hey, I want to eat last, that they're arguing over who's going to eat last. And they know
Mhm.
for a fact that if I go down, they'd be stepping in the way. And I feel that comfort. And it's really difficult to align it in a simple question of, are you leading in the front, middle, or back? I think
Mhm.
depending on the cycle of that employee or where they're at mentally or in the business, we have to
Yeah.
take different positions. So I don't know if that's the right answer you're looking for, but I look at it all weighted is how would I want to be treated from a leader if I was their employee? And then if I'm not doing what I would expect my leader to do, then how could I judge someone else leading me that way? So I want to just lead in the way that I would want to be led to that gives me full trust and faith that my boss or my leader is ensuring the security of my family through payroll and health and sick leave and vacation. And when we go through, another thing that I've learned is every employee goes through something. And if they have a simple three write up process and we get rid of people when life happens in a 20-year career, and if you're looking for employees to be here for 20 years, you got to make sure that you're empathetic enough to understand they're going through one of these cycles that we as leaders do as well and appreciate
Mhm.
what they're going through and let them ride in the wagon for a minute. They don't necessarily need to always be in the wagon, but that needs to be a person that will ride in the wagon to the leg hills, for example. Then they're willing to pull the wagon
Mhm.
for the next guy. So
Right.
it's really tough, but I just try to want to be that person that I'd want to be led by, that I'd be willing to lay my, this is really out there, but as you know, two in, two out in fire, that I'd be willing to lay my life down for, right? In the fire
Mhm.
world. So how can I be
Yeah.
that? And it's a lesson every day. I'm not great. I do my best and I try to take notes. The other thing is I love criticism. I know that sounds odd, but come at me and
Mhm.
tell me all the stuff. They're like, I'm
Right.
here. This is a really hard conversation, Wayne. I'm like, great. I love these. Give them to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, good for you. I tell you, that's it's such a blessing, honestly, if you can integrate criticism in the right way, it's going to move you ahead faster than just about anything else. So I love that you. I wasn't looking for a particular answer in that case. I was just looking for any leadership advice you gave. And what I really liked about it is that you're talking about where a leader should lead from, and it's dynamic and it depends. And I think that's really insightful because sometimes you need to be out front and you need the team to see that you really believe in what you're doing, and you need the one going up and talking to the people like you did with Damien at the trade show.
Hmm.
Need to be out front. You need to show them how to be confident, how to believe in your product. And other times, you need to delegate and you need to step back and you need to provide them the communication and the authority and the resources to do their job. And you need to be there for support. And they need to know that you're there, but you're going to let you trust them and you let them run. And sometimes you need to lead from behind because you've got stuff going on in your life, or you need maybe to be off doing some business development or fighting a lawsuit, and you have to let them run the company because they have to be the ones out front because you can't be. And all those situations are going to be better. They're going to demonstrate greater success because of the type of leadership that you mentioned when you were talking about your culture and how you take care of the people and how you believe in innovation and you believe in criticism and you're going to wrap it all around in something you can be proud of. I love that, Jeremy. I think it's so important that, I mean, I like to say when I coach people, no one defines me but myself and God. And I want that for you as well when I talk to people
Hmm.
on coaching. Define yourself and make sure that if other people are trying to define you, don't worry about that. That's their issue, not yours. Go and walk with integrity. Do the best you can. Forgive yourself quickly as you forgive others. Lay your head on your pillow at night and sleep like a baby because you got a big day tomorrow. You're going to do great things, right? So I think all of that's critically important. Let me ask the last question. So now that I've gotten to know you, maybe we'll in 20 years, maybe you and I'll get together and have a beer and we'll look back over our lives and our careers. What are you going to tell me you're most proud of?
Well, definitely my family, but that's always an easy out. I would like my family to think that they never questioned how much I love them. They always saw that I was super goal oriented at sometimes the fact of sacrifice of their time. My goal is that my successes or whatever it is that I build delivers them a better life so they have more free time to empower them to be able to have the right, you know, ability to raise their kids the way that they were raised, at least enough to be confident and strong, to not just be a single legacy type family, that they learn how you do it. And I'm hoping to educate my kids enough to realize that it's up to them on how and where they end up. And I think right now, I know this sounds simple and simplistic, but it's as easy as ever to be a winner, right? For kids in their 20s, if you have a personality and you're driven and you're willing to work and you're not getting in, too much into your phone and too much into Game Boy or whatever freaking arcade game they're playing, Xbox or whatnot,
Mhm.
if you just walk one step faster and you're there 15 minutes early, walk one step faster and stay 15 minutes late, you're only left to win. That's all that
Mhm.
is. If you can just do a little bit more, getting the discipline to be there early, do a little bit more, more work at work and stay till you're all done. The only person that the boss sees is you. And the only person your customer is going to see is this. You become the most reliable person there is with all the answers. So I just
Mhm.
teach my kids, like, you don't even have to be crazy more. You don't have to be 12 hours more. Just be
Right.
15 minutes more than the first guy and 15 minutes
Yeah.
after the last guy. Just
Yeah.
be
I
better.
love that. Well, you are clearly having a generational impact on your kids and and your family. But I expect, in addition, you're also having that same generational impact on the team of people who you're working with. And so it's something really to be proud of. And I'm glad that you highlighted that. With my kids, I've had a very similar approach to yours. I've always told them that on time is 15 minutes early. And the day ends when your boss leaves and there's nothing more that he needs you to do. I always tell them there are people who are going to be smarter than you. There are people who are going to be more agile than you. There are people who are going to have better skills than you. But no one can be the whole package as well as you can, because you may not be able to outsmart some people or outsmart the situation, but you can always outwork them. And that is about passion. It's about drive. It's about the caring nature you have for success. And that winning strategy is what I hear a lot of one percenters talk about. The great pro athletes that we talk to, or the others who have accomplished amazing things in business. They have skills, they have talents, no doubt, but they have what you just described. They have that desire to be the best, and they drive forward with it in a meaningful way every day. And that, putting that not only the 10,000 hours, but whatever it takes to become an expert and just
Yep.
continue to care about it and let your legacy be excellence. And I think you're doing that with Murphy Door, and you got a lot to be proud of, my friend. So, yeah,
I think
thanks
so
for sharing
too.
all that with us. If people wanted to get in touch with Murphy Door or with you, how would they do that?
So you can hit me up on my website at jeremybarker.com, or I'm on Instagram, jbarker482, LinkedIn at Jeremy G. Barker. My book is available on Amazon, and that's Founder Fallout. It's just 100 questions you must ask before you start a partnership with someone. Make sure you work through it
Mhm.
all out. Murphy
Mhm.
Door is at Murphy Door on Instagram or murphydoor.com. And again, we don't have everything that you can imagine on the website. So if you can think it, we can build it. Just get in
Yeah.
there and get some ideas. But we'd love to create your next experience, that's for sure.
Well, I don't know about the others who are watching this, but I know for sure I'm looking for places in my small little home here as to where I could use a Murphy Door to go to a space.
Even
So
better, right? The smaller the house, the more need, right? So we can
yeah,
create
yeah,
functional
yeah.
space for you in every piece.
I'm going to find a space for a Murphy Door solution. So, Jeremy, thanks again. All the best to you, and God bless. Wish your company great success, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you for having me, Wayne. I appreciate you a lot.
Well, that's it for Driven to Lead today. We really appreciate you being with us. Share this with a friend or a business colleague if you would. And if I could remind you again, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We're very grateful for that. So until next time, always remember, the high road leads to a better place.